It is good to see you this morning. Welcome to Good Shepherd Baptist Church. I am glad you all are having fun and fellowshipping with each other. We do want to just say we have a couple of announcements you might want to hear and be aware of, though. Don't forget, this week, in case you've forgotten, is Thanksgiving. So if you haven't already acquired your turkey, I have a few I might be willing to sell you at a markup. No, I'm just kidding. Make sure, though, you get out there and you're praying for opportunities you're going to have this week to be with family, to see family, to maybe share with family and loved ones and family you don't get to see all the time. Holidays can be stressful, but they can also be incredible opportunities for you to be able to share. So as you're telling people what you're thankful for and you're going around the family table and sharing, make sure you share the greatest thing that you have to be thankful for, and that is the relationship you have with Christ, and let them know how they can have it too. But if you look in your bulletin, you'll notice there are several things in there, one of which is a thank you. I know October technically was Pastor Appreciation Month, but we had to spill on over into November with our Pastor Appreciation meal, and you all are so grateful over these last several weeks with your cards and your emails and just the phone calls and the pats on the back and catching us before and after services. So thank you for your outpouring of love and your outpouring of appreciation on Pastor Jonathan, myself, and our families. It truly is a blessing to have been called here to be able to minister to you all. So thank you for just being the people that God's encouraging you to be, and it's good to see that. Do take note, though, several things happening now that we're into the holiday season. There are no services, midweek services this week. Men's Bible study, though, I know this is your last session tonight in your study, which means our kind of everybody else catch-all Sunday night Bible study. Tonight is our last night as well. And then once the holidays hit, we're going to take a break till the new year, and we'll start some things back up then. We've already talked about what the next men's Bible study is going to be. We already know what my next Bible study is going to be. So we're excited about those things for the new year. But tonight we'll kind of wrap that up. No services again midweek on Wednesday night because I know everybody will be traveling and getting ready for the holidays. But then note, once we get back, it's Christmas time. So next Sunday, we're going to begin our Christmas series. We'll begin our Christmas music. You'll start seeing our Christmas decorations. We've got lots of Christmas programming coming up, the annual church Christmas dinner, which you all are all invited to. We do ask, though, if you plan on coming to that, there is a sign-up sheet out there for you to kind of mark and let us know so we can be planning for those sort of things. We'll have our Christmas food box distribution coming up. You'll be hearing more about our coat drive and outerwear. Our winter outerwear drive is still ongoing. We're getting ready to start our distribution through the schools, though, with that after the Thanksgiving break. So if you've got anything else you need to get it in. Now, we'll keep taking it as long as you keep bringing it, but we're going to start once the kids get back in school after Thanksgiving break on getting that winter wear out. So thank you for you all who have brought a lot of that stuff in. Just so many things coming up. Be looking out here real soon. At the end of this week, we're going to have social media blast out and some flyers out next Sunday about all of our holiday scheduling and all of these special things, so you're sure not to miss any of that. Go ahead and be marking on your calendars the weekend of December 13th and 14th. Our adult choir and our kids are combining to do one big combined Christmas musical this year, so you're not going to want to miss that. We're doing two shows on the 13th and the 14th. So I know sometimes you like to invite family, and they're doing their things, and they're involved in their church on Sunday. So tell them to come on out Saturday, and we'd love to have them. And it'll be a good opportunity for you to invite coworkers or neighbors, family members maybe who aren't normally here to come and just hear what the season is all about. Well, with all of that said and all these announcements out of the way, again, let me say welcome. If you're visiting with us, you'll notice there's a connection card there in the seat pocket in front of you. If you would fill that connection card out, leave it in the offering plate on your way out today. That's your way of letting us know that you were here, kind of your gift to us, but also an opportunity on the back of that card. If you've got any questions about the church, anything we can be praying for, you can put that on there, and we would love to be able to pray for that this week. But with that said, if you would stand, our regulars, look for somebody around you don't know, and find some of those folks that are visiting today. Introduce yourself, make them feel welcome. Our ushers are going to come lift our regular Sunday morning offering, and then our praise team is going to lead us in worship.
Good morning. We are so glad you've all come out to worship with us this morning. And, there's one thing that just has been on my heart lately, and that is with the Christmas season coming on and Thanksgiving just around the corner here, we should take this opportunity in this time of year to not only recognize what God's done for us and how dependent we are upon Christ and how free we are because of Christ. But, we all have a story, and we should pick somebody out this season. I know that, we talk about sharing the gospel with everyone, but it's important for each of us to pick one person that we're around each day, and let's tell our story. Let's share the gospel with one person this season. It'll make a huge impact on not only their lives, but on yours as well. Christ alone, this I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. Amen. You may be seated.
All right, our kids are headed out to Children's Church. If you are kindergarten through 5th grade and you'd like to attend, just follow this crew right on out. Parents, you can pick them up just down the hall to your left when we're done in here. We are continuing this morning our series through the Gospel of Mark. And we've got a little bit different message this morning, at least in title. We're talking about little dog energy this morning, little dog energy. I know it sounds like it could be kind of weird, but hang with me and you'll see where we're headed this morning. Because who doesn't love a yappy little dog, right? I've never been a little dog person myself. I like cats. I know. Or big dogs. If I'm going to have a dog, I want a dog. I don't want to have this little thing that thinks it's a dog, that runs around. And I think my biggest problem with little dogs is, have you ever had a little dog that you try to pet that doesn't just try to lick you the entire time you're trying to pet it? I can't stand it. So I'm not a little dog person. And they're yappy, and I don't do it. But today we're talking about little dog energy. And I think there's something there for us to learn. So if you want to go ahead, okay, and my slides are taken off on me this morning. There's a software update. Don't you love software updates? And I can't do anything on here with this like I used to. So I've tried to set it all up real quick this morning to use. So if something goes really awry, I'm sorry. But if you want to turn to Mark chapter 7 this morning, we're going to be there. We started in Mark chapter 7 last week, and we looked at what defiles a person. And Jesus teaching there on that. And as he's trying to get the people and the religious leaders of the day to see, it's not what goes into a person that defiles them. It's what comes out of a person that betrays them, betrays the fact that they are defiled. We're defiled by sin. And when our heart is corrupted, when our heart has not been changed, when our heart has not been made new, then what comes out of us is what defiles us. And so today, we're picking up just after that in chapter 7. We'll begin reading in verse 24 together. It says, "From there he arose and went away to the region of Tyre and Sidon." Where did he go from? Well, you go back to chapter 6, you'll remember Jesus and his disciples had been ministering. He had sent the disciples out 2 by 2. They had come back to him, sharing with him all the amazing things that they had done. And so he says, now you need to rest. And so they get in a boat, they go across the other side of the lake. And whenever they get there, a crowd is waiting on them. Massive crowd, thousands of people. And that's where we find the account of Jesus feeding the 5,000. So after that, Jesus puts the disciples back on a boat and tells them to go back across the lake. And that's when we find him walking across the water. So when they get to the other side, they're in the region of Gennesaret. And there are people there waiting on Jesus to teach and to perform miracles and do all the things that he's done. But while he's there in Gennesaret, there are some Pharisees and some scribes that come from Jerusalem to meet with the Pharisees who are there in that region. And they go to question Jesus and confront him. And that's where this debate about what defiles a person comes into play. If you'll remember last week, they watched his disciples eating. They said, well, why don't your disciples wash their hands before they eat? In keeping with the tradition of the elders. So there's a big confrontation there. And in fact, in that, we're told in Mark that as Jesus talks about the fact it's not what goes into a person that defiles them, but what comes out of them, Mark even makes a notation for us that in doing so, Jesus also sort of struck down some of the dietary laws of the Jews. And at that point, essentially what he was saying is it's not that there are certain clean foods and unclean foods. A food's not going to defile a person. So Jesus is talking about this issue of defilement. Now you can imagine how that's gone over with the religious leaders. They're already accusing Jesus of doing the things that he's doing by the power of Satan. They're already looking for any opportunity that they can find to discredit everything that he's doing and everything that he's saying. And now they have him on record saying that according to their customs and their traditions and man's law and their religious law, that there is no real such thing as clean and unclean. That what goes into a person isn't what defiles them. So you can imagine how hot they are about this. They're having a field day now with this. And so here, Mark tells us that Jesus leaves from that region, the region of Gennesaret, and goes into the region of Tyre and Sidon. Tyre and Sidon is a Gentile region. Why on earth, if he's having problems with Jewish religious leaders, would Jesus leave and go to a Gentile region? You really need to ask that question. He's finally getting away. In fact, whenever we read this same account in Matthew 15, Matthew says he withdrew to the region. He didn't retreat, but he's withdrawing. He's not gotten the rest. If you remember, they've made 2 trips now across the Sea of Galilee with the intent of going to be what? To rest. And he's constantly being confronted with people in need, constantly being confronted with opportunities to minister, constantly being confronted with the crowds who want him to perform and want him to do and want him to give and want him to multiply and want him to cast out and wanting him to do all of these things. And then he's faced with the religious leaders everywhere that he goes that are looking to poke holes in everything that he does and find a problem with everything that he says. And so we're told that Jesus withdraws into this Gentile region. Now, it's certainly not the first time Jesus has traveled through that region, but this region is a Gentile region. The cities of Tyre and Sidon were cities along the Mediterranean coast. They were trade cities. They were port cities. They were what we think of in the Philistine territory, or now in this day known as the Phoenician territories. In what is modern day Lebanon, but then would have been in part of the governmental region of Syria. And so Jesus withdraws into that region. It doesn't say that he goes to the cities of Tyre and Sidon, but he goes north, away from Capernaum, away from the region of Gennesaret. He goes north, northwest, up into the region of Tyre and Sidon. And while he's there, he just finds a little place to get away. It says he entered a house and did not want anyone to know it. But this is Jesus that we're talking about. And so he enters the house, yet he could not be hidden. Even though Jesus was looking to get away, even though Jesus was not looking to stir anything up or to cause a commotion, even though Jesus believed in his heart of hearts that it was not unclean for him to go into a Gentile house, what were all the religious leaders and all of the practicing good Jews going to think if Jesus were in a Gentile's house? That alone would make Jesus unclean. That is something the Jews were not to do. And yet Jesus retires to this region to withdraw, to get away, and he enters into this house. We don't know if this is someone that he knew from earlier trips through. Maybe this is someone he had ministered to while he was in the region before, and we just don't have that account in Scripture. We don't know whose house it is, but Jesus goes to this region, retires into a Gentile's house to get away, to take a break, to rest. And he doesn't want anyone to know. He's practicing liberty that he knows and liberty that he understands, but understand, he's not making a public display about it and trying to create a commotion. And yet, while he's in the house, he could not be hidden. Listen, when Jesus is in the house, it can't be hidden. If we claim him as our own, if he's truly come in and made a difference in our lives, if he's living and active within us, if it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me, there is no hiding it. And if people look at us and they can't tell that he's there, if they can't tell that there's a difference, I've got to ask, is he really home? Or did you just invite him over for a visit? It's Christmas. We want to have Jesus over to the house. It's Easter. We want to have Jesus over to the house. It's Mother's Day. We want to have Jesus over to the house. I've got a big doctor's appointment this week. Haven't had Jesus over in a while, so we'll have Jesus over to the house. Listen, if we've genuinely been changed and transformed, you can't hide Jesus. And if you only look like Jesus and only look like Jesus has been to your house a few times out of the year, he's not really in the house. But Jesus was there in the home, and he could not be hidden. Verse 25 tells us, but immediately. So in other words, as soon as somebody found out he was there, as soon as word got out that Jesus was in the house, immediately a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit heard of him and came and fell down at his feet. Now notice the order of things here. She hears not just that Jesus is in the house, but she hears of him. We don't know who told her. We don't know who in this Gentile region has spread word about who Jesus is and the things that he's done and the teachings that he's taught and the claims that he's made. But understand, when she hears of him, this is deeper than just hearing that he's a miracle worker. This is deeper than just hearing that he's cast out demons. This is deeper than just hearing that he's a great moral teacher. And we'll see why I say that here in just a moment. But when this says that she has heard of him, she has a deep knowledge of who he claims to be. And she has a deep knowledge of at least some of the things that he has taught that lend credit to the claims that he makes about who he is. Because when she addresses him in just a few moments, she uses a phrase that betrays just how much she's heard of him. But she's heard the truth of Jesus. And after she's heard of him, it says she came to him. And listen, that's the process. What does Paul tell us? How would they believe unless they've heard? Listen, somebody's got to do the telling. Somebody's got to get the truth out there. Somebody's got to tell people. Somebody has to talk about all of the incredible ways that Jesus has changed their life. Somebody has to talk about the claims that he's made and who he says he is and the things that he's done to prove it. And once somebody had told her, and once she had heard, what did she do? She came to him. She came to him. And once she got there, what did she do? She falls down at his feet. She falls at his feet. She prostrates herself and humbles herself before the one who can do what it is she needs done. And notice, she so believes this, it says that she begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. She begged him. Listen, how many of you all like to beg somebody for anything? Anybody? We don't do well with that, do we? Most of the time, we just as soon go without than beg somebody to do something. We have this attitude with other people, well, if I have to beg them to spend time with me, or if I have to beg them to call me on the phone, or if I have to beg them, I'm going to go real old school here, beg them to send me a letter or a card, then I really don't want anything to do with them anyway. Right? We would much rather go without than beg somebody for something. And yet this woman hears that Jesus is in the house. And knowing who he claims to be and believing that he is who he claims to be, she comes to him and falls down before him and begs him to meet her need. And look at what her need is. She begs him to cast the demon out of her daughter. She is desperate. And she's heard that he's there. And that's all it took. Just the chance that he's there. She hears where he is, and she goes for just the chance that he's actually there, and the chance that if she begs, he might give in to her desire and her need. And it's here that we see first part of this little dog energy. Little dogs, there's a hunger, isn't there? I don't know what it is. It's the little dogs that are hungry. It's the little dogs that seem like they can never get enough. It's the little dogs that if they hear the refrigerator door open, where are they? They're not at your feet, they're on your leg. Don't tell me they're at your feet. They're more annoying than that. They're climbing up on your leg, they're pawing, right? They want whatever it is. If they hear you walk toward the kitchen, where do they suddenly appear? There's a hunger, right? They're never satisfied. You could have just fed them. And the minute you're in the kitchen, where are they? The minute that they think that there's food, right? And it might not be anything. It might not be anything. It might not even be edible. They don't know. They heard the noise, and you're in the right place where food is. They're hungry. And they don't leave you be about it, do they? Big dogs, they learn. They sit there and look at you with that sad face and those big stupid eyes. But if you're sitting there on the couch eating and you've told them they're not to beg, they'll look at you from across the room. They won't beg. They'll just sit there and look stupid and dumb and adorable and wait to see if you're going to give them anything. Not a little dog. Where's that little dog at? Right? Its paws are going, it's doing all its tricks, it's turning circles, it's dancing on its hind legs, it's right there trying to get up in your face and on your lap and at the bowl and all. There's a hunger, right, in these little dogs. But notice, that's what we see here with this woman. There was a hunger, there was a desperation that was there. Listen, you ever seen a little dog and a big dog? There's only one treat left. How's that little dog act? It is suddenly the biggest, most ferocious animal in the world, isn't it? And it's amazing how a big dog would tuck tail and run from that little dog. Why? That little dog wants it more. There's a hunger, there's a desperation in that little dog. And that's what we see here in this woman. She had a need that no one else could do anything about. She had a deep desire to see her daughter healed. And she knew from what she had heard of Jesus that he was the only one who could do anything about it. And she heard that cheese wrapper, right? She heard that he was at this house. And nothing was going to stop her from going and getting him to come and to meet that need. There's a hunger, there's a desperation that's there. And listen, we need to adopt that little dog energy. We need to realize just how desperate we are for what only he can do and what he can give. And listen, it's not just in salvation, it's every day. We need him in our lives every single day. There's not a decision that we make where we don't need his wisdom and guidance and insight. There's not a relationship we don't have where we don't need him to intervene and make that relationship look like what it's supposed to look like. There is nothing that we don't need him for, because left to our own devices, we're going to mess it up. We're going to mess it up. We need him. We've got to have that kind of hunger for him and his word and his guidance day in and day out. Mark tells us a little bit about this woman there in verse 26. It says this woman was a Gentile, Syrophoenician by birth. This was not a Jewish woman who was living in the territory. This was not even a Samaritan, a half-breed who was living there in this territory. This woman is a Gentile. She has no connection and would have no reason to have any connection or know anything about Jesus. Gentiles and Jews didn't mix, especially Jewish men and Gentile women. There were just so many cultural barriers here. Why this woman knew anything about Jesus, knew who he was, why she felt that she could come to him, why she had the audacity to come to him, we don't know. But there was that hunger that she had inside that wasn't going to let anything prevent it. Keep your finger there in Mark chapter 7, but turn with me over to Matthew chapter 15. Because these are the two places that we find in Scripture the account of this encounter that Jesus has with this woman. Now, Mark, remember, as we began our series, we said he was kind of the ADHD gospel. He gave you just the highlights, just what you needed, the nuts and bolts. And so essentially what Mark has given us up to this point is Jesus went to this place, he was in this house, word got out that he was there. This woman who had a daughter that was possessed by a demon heard that he was there. She came, fell at his feet, and begged him to heal her daughter. Well, Matthew gives us a few more details. It wasn't just quite that simple and that cut and dry. Matthew actually gives us the progression of events from when she got there and what happened until she actually fell at Jesus' feet. Because from what Matthew tells us, it wasn't an immediate thing. There was a little bit more involved. Matthew chapter 15, beginning in verse 22. It says, "Behold, a Canaanite woman from that region came out and was crying, 'Have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely oppressed by a demon.'" Notice what she's petitioning Jesus with. Have mercy on me. What is mercy? It's when you don't get what you do deserve. And listen, in begging Jesus for his mercy, what she's saying and what she's understanding is this. The wages of sin is death. The brokenness in this world is a consequence, is a byproduct of sin. All of us are sinners. All of us are born in sin. All of us have sin. All of us are broken. All of us are separated from God because of our sin. All of us are living in a world that is broken because of sin, because of the consequences of what we have done. So as we look around at the world and we see the state of things and we see what is going on, we can really, honestly, genuinely say we are getting exactly what we deserve. And as this woman is looking at her situation, she realizes that she doesn't deserve more than this. But she asked Jesus to have mercy on her, to not give to her or to her daughter what they deserve. So notice, there is no entitlement there. There is no expectation. She doesn't go to Jesus and say, I know this is a broken world and I know we've all sinned, but I'm a lot better than other people, so I don't deserve this. Jesus, fix it. And yet that's the mentality that many of us have, isn't it? I'm a lot better than so-and-so. I don't do this and I don't do that and I don't do that. You know, I'm struggling month to month to get by and make ends meet and worry about how I want to feed my family and pay all the bills and keep our insurance current and all of these things. And yet I look around at these people who do this and this and this and this and this, and they don't have to worry about anything. They're going out buying new cars and big houses and new PlayStations and big TVs and all this stuff. And here I am struggling. I don't even know if being a good person and being a good Christian's worth it anymore. Listen, that's completely wrong outlook and perspective on it. We're not a good person or a good Christian so that God will bless us. We don't deserve any of it. And in His mercy, He doesn't always give us what we do deserve. In His grace, He gives us more than we ever deserved. But we follow Him the best we can. Because of His sacrifice for us, that's what He deserves. I don't live my Christian life to the best of my ability so that I can have the best things. And this woman goes to Jesus and says, have mercy on me. I don't deserve anything more than what I have, but Jesus, have mercy on me. And then notice what she calls Him. She addresses Him as Lord. Now, by itself, that wouldn't mean anything. That would just be a term of respect. It would be a term understanding that even if nothing else, He's at least a Jewish male and higher on the social hierarchy than she is. But when she couples it with this next phrase, Son of David, that changes everything. Because understand, this is a phrase that is essentially saying she knows and recognizes and admits that he is the promised Jewish Messiah. She's not just throwing that phrase out there flippantly because she heard somebody say it. When she comes and she prostrates herself before him and begs him to have mercy on her and addresses him as the Son of David, she recognizes the claims that are being made about him and the things that he's done to back it up. So when she comes to him, it says, "Have mercy on me, Son of David." She believes she knows exactly who she's talking to. And he's the only one that she needs to be talking to. So look at Jesus' reaction to this great confession of his true identity. He didn't answer her a word. He didn't answer her a word. Does that seem odd to anyone? And yet, if you look at how he is crafting this encounter, if you look at what he is leading her to, it makes perfect sense. Because as he doesn't say anything, she doesn't stop crying out. How do you know? Well, look at the disciples' response. His disciples came and begged him, saying, "Send her away, for she's crying out after us." Right? Jesus, send this little dog away. She's yappy and she won't shut up. How are you just ignoring her? I can't stand it any longer. Send her away. Whether you just banish her or whether you take care of her issue just so she'll leave us alone. Jesus, you have to do something. In other words, this woman was persistent. She was not letting up. And that's what we see here in this little dog energy, is this persistence. They don't stop. You know, if you come to the gate of a house that's got a big dog, it'll bark and bark and bark at you, right? While you're coming up to the gate or while you're trying to come in the gate. What happens the minute the owner comes to the door? They usually stop. Owner's here, I let him know I did my job. Time to go lay down and take a nap again, right? That's big dog energy. What does the little dog do? It keeps yapping, and it follows right behind you, this close to your heel the whole way. You're sitting there having a cordial conversation with the owner. They've invited you in. You've sat down to coffee. What's the little dog still doing? Still yapping, right? It's persistent in what it's doing. It's not going to leave it alone. It's not going to let it go. And listen, little dogs are like that. You get a Chihuahua. You start playing tug of war with the Chihuahua. You could pick that rope up that you're using, not that I've ever done this or would advocate it, ASPCA. You could take that rope and swing it like this. Where's that Chihuahua? It's still on the end of that thing, isn't it? It's not letting go. There's this little dog persistence that's there. And that's what we see with this woman. Jesus completely ignores her, doesn't even respond, doesn't put her in her place, doesn't tell her to be quiet, doesn't tell her she doesn't have any part in his ministry or what he's doing. He completely ignores her, and she just persists and persists and persists. So why would Jesus let her do that? Exactly for that reason. To give her the opportunity to display the genuine depth of her faith and her belief that only Jesus could satisfy her need. Listen, have you ever prayed for something? And something that you know is not against the will of God? Now, I'm not saying we can presume God's timing or God's timetable and his schedule, but just the actual thing that we want God to do or the way that we want God to move, we know that we're not praying some crazy thing like outside the bounds of what God deems possible. Like for all those Florida fans last night that were praying God would let the Gators somehow make a comeback. We know that's not in the bounds of God's will at all, right? So, because Tennessee is God's team, right? But ask Stan, he'll tell you. But we're not asking for something crazy. Have you ever prayed something that you know? I mean, it's not God's will that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. Have you ever prayed for somebody to be saved and they've not been saved? At least not yet. I mean, God gave us a very simple command that goes all the way back to the beginning of Genesis. Be fruitful and multiply. But is fertility always easy? Do you know anybody that's ever prayed for a child and had to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait? Do you ever know anybody that has prayed for a spouse? They're tired of being single. They want somebody to share their life with, and they've prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed about a mate. But it seems like God's just not answering. You ever struggled with something in your life, something that's just seemed hard for you to quit, hard for you to lay down, hard for you to let go of? You know, God told us through Paul to mortify those things in ourselves that don't look like him, and we've tried, but it seems like this thing just won't die no matter how many times we put it down, and we prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed about it, but it seems like we haven't got victory yet. It seems like God's just not listening. He's just ignoring us. And yet God knows exactly his time. He knows exactly when we need what it is that we need. And he knows exactly how long to let us continue to persist in prayer, to stretch our faith, to grow our faith, to teach us what it means to live in anticipation and hope of him moving, and yet still live in the contentment and joy that knowing even though it's hard right now, and even though I haven't seen the answer yet, I'm living in the promise that he will, in his time, satisfy everything that I need. And God is allowing this woman to persist, to show that little dog mentality, that little dog energy. And even when his disciples couldn't understand it, even when his disciples just wanted her to shut up, aren't we all tempted that sometimes? Well, God, I've been praying for this for 5 years now, and you've not done it yet, so maybe I'm just going to quit. Maybe it's just not your will, and so I'm just going to quit pursuing it. You know, I was convinced that this is what you wanted for me. I was convinced that this is the area that you called me in, but you know, it's hard. I started this ministry because I felt like you wanted me to be there. I started reaching out to this person and cultivating a relationship because I really felt like you were wanting me to reach out to them and build that bridge so we could see them come into your kingdom. But God, it just seems fruitless so far. So it's time to quit, right? We're listening to those disciples' voices. And yet here's this woman with this little dog energy persisting in her petition of him. And so then Jesus answers. There in Matthew 15, he says, I was sent only to the sheep, the lost sheep, right? I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now that's an interesting way to put it. I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. Does that mean that Jesus was only concerned about the salvation of Israel? No, but he was sent specifically for them. We're told all throughout Scripture the seed of the woman that was to come, that would come through the bloodline of Abraham, right? Promise through Israel. But what was going to happen with that seed? Because of that seed, what? All the families of the earth or the world would be blessed. But he was sent specifically to and through Israel. So Jesus goes on. He says, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, but she came and knelt before him, saying, Lord, help. He tells her that and keeps walking. And so she comes to him and kneels before him and cries out, Lord, help me. We see that persistence. We see that persistence. So what does he do? Well, what would you do in a situation like that? Well, he looks at her and he says this. If you go back to Mark chapter 7 and verse 27. It says, let the children be fed first. It's not just Israel, but it was Israel first. Let the children be fed first, for it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. Now that sounds like the cruelest thing in the world, because if the children are Israel and the bread is the blessing and the mercy and the salvation of God, then who are the dogs? That'd be her. That'd be the Gentiles. That'd be the non-Jews. And listen, this was a very pejorative term that was used by the Jews of Gentiles. Equivalent, if we were to use a certain canine-related word that started with a B for a woman today. In that same pejorative type of sense, that this word was used by the Jews to speak about the Gentiles. So this woman, I'm sure this is not the first time she had been called a dog by a Jewish man. This is not the first time she had heard her friends or her family or her countrymen called a dog by a Jewish man. Say, well, how could Jesus be so callous? How could he be so cruel? How could he be so base? Well, what's interesting here is, yes, he uses this word dog, but he doesn't use the typical word that would have been thrown around by Jews for the Gentiles. Instead, here he uses the word for little dogs. Now, we're not just talking about puppies. We're talking about little dogs. These little dogs that the Jews would have had in their homes as pets. As annoying as they are, they had them. These are the little dogs that were part of the family. These were the little dogs that would play with their children. These were the little dogs that dad always says he doesn't want. And then where does the dog always sleep? With dad on the recliner, right? That's always the way it works, isn't it? But these were the little dogs. These were the pets. These weren't the wild dogs, the mongrel dogs, the dogs that were a plague to the society of the day, who were going around chasing livestock and killing livestock and harming children and roving in packs trying to take down and eat whatever they could eat. These were the little household pets. These were the little dogs, the beloved dogs, the part of the family. And so notice what Jesus does here. He takes what this woman would be expecting and the attitude that she would be expecting a Jewish man to have of her, a Gentile woman. And he does something endearing with it. He doesn't call her a dog, but he calls her a little pet, something that's loved by the family. But even still, the truth remains that he says it wouldn't be right to give the food meant for the children to the dogs first. It had to go to the children first. And then notice this woman's incredible response. She answers him in 28 and says, "Yes, Lord. Yet even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." Even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. Notice the little dog energy that's here. The humility, the submission that's there. Little dogs can act big and tough and ferocious, especially around other bigger dogs, right? And they'll bark and bark and bark at a stranger coming into the house. What happens if that stranger turns around and stomps his foot? There's a puddle in the floor, and that little dog's nowhere to be seen, right? And that little dog doesn't treat the owner that way, does it? In fact, that little dog will do anything that owner wants it to do and will go anywhere that owner wants to go. It just loves that owner. It can't wait for that owner to get home. It wants nothing more to be right in that owner's face, licking its face somewhere, right? That's why I don't like little dogs. But it knows who the master is. It knows who its master is, and it is completely and totally, humbly devoted and submitted to the master. It knows that it can't go to the cupboard and get the treats out for itself. The master has to do it. It knows it can't reach the kitchen sink and fill its water bowl itself. The master has to do it. It knows if that big dog really wanted to make it a snack, there's nothing it could do about it. Who's going to protect it? The master. And so there's this humility there that leads to complete and total submission of this little dog to the master. So think about what she said. Yes, Lord. But even the little dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the table. And when Jesus hears this, look at how he responds. Now, I've taken Matthew 15 and Mark 7 and put it all together just in one paragraph there. He said to her, "O woman, great is your faith." Notice that. Great is your faith. How did he know? He said, it's in your statement. For this statement, you may go your way. Let it be done for you as you deserve. So let's look at that statement. What did Jesus see in that statement? What was so amazing about that statement? Yes, Lord, I am a sinner. I'm broken. That's what she's saying. Yes, Lord, but even the dogs. She wasn't debating with him about who she was. She wasn't debating with him that she was a Gentile and she was undeserving. She didn't say, well, if that's the way you're going to be, who are you to call me a dog? See if I stick around and ask you for anything. No, she knew and recognized who she was. And listen, that's the way we all have to come to Jesus. That's the beginning of our confession of faith. Jesus, I'm a sinner. And I can't save myself. I can't fix myself. I can't clean myself up. I'm broken. And I can't unbreak myself. Jesus, I'm a sinner. I am broken. And I'm in need. I'm desperate. Then she goes on and she says, but the only hope for someone like me is still whatever bit of grace you'd spare. Even the little dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the children's table. God, even for just a little bit of something, I am completely and totally dependent on you. I can't manufacture it for myself. I can't make it for myself. And then she concludes, I'm undeserving, but completely dependent on you. Where do the crumbs come from? From whoever set them on the table. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, I'm broken. I'm needy. Only you have the answer. I'm not deserving, but if you will, I know you can. I believe you can. And I desire for you to do it. And listen, that's where we are in our spiritual lives with him. Jesus, I'm a sinner. I'm broken. I'm desperate. I can't do anything about it myself. But I know you went and you made a way. You paid the price. You did what I couldn't do. and I don't deserve it. But I believe you said you did it for me. And if you will, forgive me. Help me live for you. Change my life. Take me in, adopt me as yours. Listen, that's that little dog energy. Jesus went on. For this statement, you may go your way. Let it be done for you as you desire. The demon has left your daughter. And we're told that her daughter was healed instantly. But did she know that? No. Why? She wasn't home. And they didn't have nanny cams or baby monitors with video or any of that kind of thing, right? She didn't get a text from her, grandma or sister, whoever was staying there with the kid, to let her know that, hey, she's been healed, the demon's gone. Nope. What did she do? She took Jesus at his word and she went home. She didn't insist he goes. She didn't insist she had proof. She didn't say, well, we'll send a messenger and find out. And if she is really healed, then I'll leave you alone. Otherwise, I'm going to keep following you crying out. No, she took him at his word and she left. She went home. Listen, that little dog energy, there's trust in the master. There's trust in the master. You pick a Great Dane up and put him in a little bag to carry him around with you as you go to the mall. I want to see you coax him into that bag. Even if you could pick it up, even if the bag were big enough, even if it had wheels, you get that Great Dane in that bag. But you pick up a Pomeranian, you can stuff that thing in a drawstring sack. It doesn't matter. It's going to let you do it because it trusts the master completely. That's where we have to get to. She had complete trust that when the master said, go your way, I've done what you asked, that it was so. And you know what? I threw this one in there because the other thing you see with little dogs, the thing that makes them so annoying, the reason they constantly want to be there licking you in the face is because they're grateful. And listen, when we know we can trust the master, when we know he's made a change in our life, when we know that he's got nothing but love for us and he's only going to do what's best for us and give us exactly what we need when we need it. And listen, when we've humbly submitted to him and we're living in a way that says, I trust you with my life completely, we need to be grateful. And like we said earlier, that's why we do what we do. That's why we live the way that we live. It's out of our gratitude for the master, for who he is and what he's done. And so this week, as we go and we be with our families, as we're offering things, as we're talking about gratefulness and gratitude, let's remember to be grateful to the loving master who adopted us out of that shelter, took us home. As spiteful and yappy as a little dog can be, but he loves us. And he provides for us, and he cares for us, and he does for us what we can't do for ourselves. This morning, if you need to come, you need to give your life to the master. If you need to come and humbly prostrate yourself before him and say, Jesus, I can't do it. I can't save myself. I can't get my own act together. I can't make my life right. I can't make it what it needs to be. I can't live how I want to live. Jesus, I've got no direction. I thought I knew where I was going, and all it's taken me to is problems and trouble and strife and this and that. Maybe you're saying, Jesus, I've got my whole act together right now. My life can't be any better. I can't think of anything else that I need, but I can't save myself, and I can't do anything about my own sin problem. I believe that only you can. Then today you come. And as we dismiss, you come up here. Let's talk. Let's talk about what it means, what it looks like to give your life to the only one who gave his life for you. God, we are grateful this morning to have an opportunity to get together, to get into your word. God, to lift you up and give you the praise that you're due. But God, more than anything, we're grateful that you gave your life for us. That you made a way possible to take care of our sin problem. To give us new life, new meaning, new purpose. as ambassadors for your kingdom. People who are called to live in gratefulness for what it is that you've done for them. And God, for whatever reason, rather than just take us home when we're saved, God, you've left us here to spread the news, to be those ambassadors, to see others come into the kingdom, to see your kingdom grow. So God, as much as we mess it up sometimes, God, we're thankful for the opportunity. And we're grateful for your trust in us. But God, help us as we leave this place. Help us put this little dog energy work in our lives. God, help us remember where our help has come from. Help us remember who we're depending on. God, create in us this kind of desperation that we saw in this woman today. God, it's great we were desperate for salvation, but God, make us desperate for you every day and in all things. God, give us the persistence that we need. God, even in the face of difficult times and trials, even in the face of those times of waiting where it seems like our prayers aren't being heard and aren't being answered, God, where we're having to wait on you, God, where our way doesn't line up with your way, and God, we're scared to let go. God, give us the persistence that we need to continue to pursue your plan and your way. God, if there's anybody here today, as we dismiss, that doesn't know you, doesn't have a relationship with you, God has never accepted the forgiveness that you made available when you died on the cross for our sin. God, who's never surrendered the reins of their life to you, God, I pray that today's the day they'd come. God, they nail that down. They go into this Thanksgiving season with something incredible to truly be grateful for. God, be with our families as they leave this place today. Protect them, guide them wherever it is that they're headed for the holidays. God, give them opportunities as they meet with friends and family to share not just what they're thankful for, but God, how they too can be thankful. God, it's in your Son's name we pray today. Amen. Choir, remember, Terry's not here, and that's why you all weren't singing this morning, but she won't be back. You all won't have practice this evening either, but we will be having our Bible studies at 6:30.
A thousand generations falling down in worship to sing the song of ages to the Lamb. And all who've gone before us and all who will believe will sing the song of ages to the Lamb. Your name is the highest, your name is the greatest, your name stands above them all thrones and dominions, all powers and positions, your name stands above them all, and the angels cry, holy, all creation